Welcome to Lineups and Lures. Join hosts Joe and Chris as they break down the biggest stories in professional and amateur sports and reel in the best fishing stories and tips. Whether it's game day strategy or the perfect catch, we've got you covered. Grab your gear and get ready. This is Lineups and Lures.
Welcome back to this episode of Lineups and Lures. Chris and Joe are here to talk about some big happenings on the baseball front today. And we might touch on some college baseball. The spring training is getting started, and with the recent weather here in the Northwest, we should have some opportunity out at the coast to look at some fishing as well. So, Joe, on that, why don't we just dive right in? Alex Bregman.
3 years, $120 million. What a deal.
Let's talk about his deal first of all, then we'll dive into what else happened over the offseason. But there's an aging slugger that is still a very good baseball player. We're not disagreeing with that. But it seems like he was vastly overpaid and doesn't make sense to me. What do you think?
I think it's a great deal. I think it's along the lines of the Pete Alonso deal. It's a 3-year, $120 million with opt-outs after 25 and after 26. So essentially, if he goes and puts up big numbers, he's going to opt out and look for a longer-term contract again after this first 3-year. If he has kind of a down season, he knows he's making $40 million in 2026. So let's go ahead and play that one out and see if we can put up big numbers, be an all-star, maybe lead that team to the playoffs. And now we opt out after year 2 and we go sign another big contract. So it just seems like it's the Scott Boras model. If he's going to hold out and try to get that 6 to 7 year contract, and when that doesn't happen, it's going to be a 3-year with opt-outs. So the team basically gets a player for 1 year and hopes they stick around for longer.
You know, I hear what you're saying. To me, I take differently on this. To me, it seems that he got overpaid. I mean, Alonso essentially signed a 1-year, $30 million deal with year 2 at 24 for a total of 54. He's getting nearly 50-60% more than Pete Alonso, and I don't think he's 50-60% more of a hitter than Pete Alonso. I think the Red Sox drastically overpaid here, and I don't know if that was what it took to get him out of Houston, but and it is interesting that he was originally drafted by the Red Sox, and maybe this is somewhat of a homecoming, if you will, but to me, when I saw that number come across, that just seemed like a drastic overpayment by the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, Bregman can play third, he can play second, he can probably go out into the outfield if you needed him to, could definitely play some first. So the versatility of him, I think, warrants a little bit more money, and I think he's also proven that he can play and win on the big stage. Pete Alonso hasn't been to the playoffs other than this past season.
Yeah, but he had some big home runs in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, he's done it once, though. He hasn't done it for an extended period of time. Bregman's, what were the Astros, like 7 straight years in the ALCS or some stupid stat? I mean, those guys were always playing in big games.
Yeah, no, not point valid. It's it's just one of those situations where it looks like he's got a great deal. I don't see him getting a 6-7 year deal at this point with his age. I just don't think anyone's going to pay him for that period of time unless the average annual drops significantly. So, I mean, I think this is his payday. He's got 120 million reasons to want to go hit the baseball, and in the hitter-friendly park of Fenway, where he's got that short porch in left, he could do some damage. So this could end up being a great deal for both him and the Red Sox.
So this is a hard one. So they say that he had offers from the Tigers and from the Cubs. And the Tigers deal was 6 for 171, so about $28 million a year. And then you had 4 years, 120 from the Cubs with the same opt-outs. And he chose the shorter contract with the higher average money with Boston. So he was getting that 6-year offer from the Tigers. Plus, didn't they say that Astros had made him a 6-year deal too? I think that kind of expired on him because it took so long, but he had 2 6-year offers on the table and decided to go with the 3-year route.
Yeah, but essentially he's making the same amount of money in 3 years than he would have over 5. So, of course he took that deal. I mean, that's just math. So I'm just surprised that Boston upped the average annual by, essentially 30% more than anybody else, which is a big number. But hey, good for him. He got paid, and a good deal for the Red Sox too. He can hit. The versatility that you brought up is a real thing. And I think the other thing is there's a big difference between wanting to live in Detroit and wanting to live in Boston too. And that's I think that's got to be a factor as well.
Yeah, but in Detroit, he would have been able to play for A.J. Hinch, his former coach with the Astros. So that was kind of a reunion. That's a young team in a very winnable division. He goes to a Red Sox team that is going to be in for a dogfight, trying to beat the Yankees. The Blue Jays keep getting better. Obviously, the Orioles are right there at the top of that division. I mean, that's a very difficult AL East to try to win.
Oh, the AL East is a gauntlet, but I think it comes down to one of those things that when you're a kid and you're in the first grade and you're sitting there playing with your buddies and you're going, it's Game 7 of the World Series. You talk about doing it for the Yankees. You talk about doing it for the Red Sox. You don't talk about doing it for the Tigers.
Oh, I agree with you. So what do you think the Red Sox are looking like for this 2025 season? They make that trade to get Garrett Crochet. They bring in Bregman. They got some really good young guys coming up. Does that put the Red Sox in the top 2 in the division? Where do you think they stand going into the year?
The American League East it's a coin flip. There is so much talent in that division. I think health will be the key, who stays healthy. And I think it's also going to be one of those situations where Toronto's got a decision to make. You've got Bichette and Vladdy that are obviously the backbone of your lineup. And if they are able to pay them and add, then they become a real threat to the division. The Yankees are the Yankees, and if they're close at the All-Star break, I would not be surprised to see them be buyers, not sellers. The Orioles to me, are the wild card because I think they have the nucleus of young talent on that team to be a contender for the next decade, and I don't say that lightly. You've got those 3 kids, obviously starting with Rutsch behind the dish, Holiday, and the kid in center field's pretty good too. Gunnar at shortstop, and that's a nucleus that you can build around. Their pitching staff needs to be upgraded if they're really going to compete. And I don't know if that ownership group is prepared to spend the money to compete with the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, etc. So I can't call that right now. I think that is a wide open race, and I think who gets hot at the right time, who wins the division games that are kind of 1.5, 2 game spreads because you win one and the other guy loses one. So that's just going to be one hell of a division to watch, and great for us as fans. We get to see a dogfight out in the East.
Oh, it's going to be great. I think the Yankees really retooled, bringing in Fried and Devin Williams, Goldschmidt, Bellinger. They got a lot better. Obviously, Boston got a lot better. The Orioles lost some arms, which losing Burns, that's a major blow, but they got so much young talent that team is going to be scary. And now they have some playoff experience, even though they haven't won the games, but you're going to get a lot better Rutschman in the second half. That team is really poised to do it. And hey, let's not forget about the Rays. They always find a way to be relevant. So that's going to be a really fun race to watch this year. Step up your game at Portland Baseball Club. Whether you're a beginner looking to learn the fundamentals or an experienced player ready to take your skills to the next level, our expert coaches are here to help you succeed. Our training programs focus on developing key skills such as hitting, pitching, fielding, and game strategy through personalized instruction and hands-on drills. Join us for specialized clinics, one-on-one coaching, group training sessions, and year-round tournament teams tailored to all skills and age levels. With state-of-the-art facilities and a supportive environment, you'll gain the confidence and expertise to excel on the field. Don't miss your chance to become a part of Portland's premier baseball community and elevate your game today. Learn more at portlandbaseballclub.com and see how we inform, instruct, and inspire the next generation of athletes. Let's get into some Beaver baseball. So the NCAA Division I season kicks off this Friday. Oregon State kicks off down in Surprise against Xavier. It's going to be a little bit of a different Beaver baseball season this year. What are you thinking going into the season?
Before we get into that, I just think there needs to be some huge props to Oregon State as an organization too. With the dismantling of the Pac-12, it would have been very easy for that program to have just dropped to the second, third tier of collegiate baseball. Yet Mitch was able to do a fantastic job where not only did he keep guys on the roster that would have been starters at any team in the country, not only was he able to keep those guys, but he was able to bring in a kid that they are talking potential top 5 pick overall. And that's amazing to me. And as a fan, it's wonderful. It's going to be a very different season based on their independent schedule and having to go on the road a lot. And that's going to be the challenge for this year's Beaver team. They were almost unbeatable at Goss. That is a place where other teams just don't want to come. Teams go there to die. I don't know what it is. They come into Goss. It's a rowdy atmosphere for anybody that hasn't been there. You've never seen how loud 4,000 people can get. They're sitting there drinking their IPAs in the stands and, just giving it to the other team. Yeah,
definitely. They get 20 games at home on the schedule. They're going to be road warriors, but they got the dudes. Like, they got the pitching. I think the pitching is going to be what carries the team this year. They've got that veteran leadership with Turley coming back, kind of being able to take over some of Bazana's offensive stats. It's going to be a fun team to watch. I think it's going to be pitching dominant, and I think they're going to score enough runs to win. But you are totally right about the road warriors and just not being able to play at Goss. I mean, I've been to a lot of Pac-12 stadiums traveling around, and Goss is by far my favorite stadium to both watch a game, to play a game on. You're right on top of the field. There's just not a lot like that to where it's that real small college feel, but at a Division I. And I can only imagine what it's like with 4,000 screaming Beaver fans right on top of you.
It's an advantage that may not exist in college baseball other than maybe an LSU or a couple of other SEC teams. And I think the one thing that I would disagree with you on a little bit is I think the offense might be scary good. I really think that Gavin Turley is poised for, I'm not going to say a Rutschman or a Bazana type junior year, but I think there is a really strong possibility that kid hits 350 or better. I think 20 home runs is a realistic expectation for him. And I think he could have, 70 to 80 RBIs, which he is poised to be a first-round draft pick. And if he puts up those type of numbers, I think that will also help the rest of the lineup because, the focus is going to be on him, which means other guys in the lineup get to see pitches that wouldn't normally get to see.
Oh, definitely. He's every bit the first-round prospect, and he's gotten better every year. So it'll be fun to watch that, and hopefully he's got some healthy players around him. Having Caraway over there at third, full season of him healthy, he's pretty special. Pretty much everybody on the field is going to be pretty experienced, so it's going to be a fun group to watch. And I got to tell you, these first 3 weekends, the first 11 games of the season, they're down in Texas for 2 tournaments. They got the surprise tournament. It's going to be a trial by fire right at the start of the season. It's sink or swim, and man, they come out of that like an 8-3. It's going to be a really good season for them.
And the other thing, I totally agree with everything you said, and what a great experience for these young guys to be able to go down the desert first. And I think the other thing not to be overlooked is they got a really great freshman class. And I don't know if they'll necessarily be an impact right out of the gate, but there's a couple of local guys that decided to stay local and stay with the program where they definitely had offers from other programs. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those freshmen by middle of the season is knocking on the door as an everyday starter, and there could be some offensive firepower. And there's a kid named Vanderbrink out of West Lynn, local high school, that can really swing it. And I think he might be the guy 2-3 years we're talking about. But that's just one example where there's some local talent, some freshmen that could just jump up and surprise people.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season watching these beavers, and really we only talk about the beavers today, but really watching all of the programs. Portland's still on the up. Oregon's a top 20 team. The Huskies can surprise some teams up north. Washington State's getting better every year, so it's going to be a fun college baseball season, and I'm excited to see it kick off on Friday.
Hey there, I'm Chad with Jackson Painting and Remodel, and if you're looking to give your home a fresh new look, you've come to the right place. Whether you need a bold new color for your living room or a fresh coat to brighten up your home's exterior, my team and I have got you covered. We specialize in both indoor and outdoor painting, using only the best materials to make sure your space looks amazing and stands the test of time. If you're ready to transform your home, visit jacksonpainting.com. I'd love to come by, chat about your ideas, and give you a free estimate. At Jackson Painting and Remodel, we don't just paint, we make your vision a reality. Again, visit jacksonpainting.com or call 503-620-2600.
Welcome back from break, guys. We have a weather situation here in the Northwest to talk about right now. We have snow and ice here in the valley, which is a short-term nuisance, but the flip side from that is we're going to have some water in the river, and that's going to lead to, I think, some great fishing coming up as the temperatures warm up a little bit. We'll have some ice melt plus some rain in the high 40s, low 50s. Joe, tell us what that's going to bring for our anglers out here in the Northwest.
A lot of fishing pressure. There's going to be a lot of people out fishing here in the next week or two. You're right. We got this ice and snowstorm that came through today and carrying into tomorrow. But after that, it looks like we got a solid 4 to 5 days of some rain and warmer temperatures. So between the rain and the melt, it's looking like rivers are probably going to, jump a good foot or so and get a little bit of fresh water into all the systems on the North Coast. And that should push a lot of fish in. So I can see by middle to end of next week, we are right in the heart of steelhead season, and the fish are going to be there. The fishermen are going to be there. It's go time.
Yeah, no, this is that push we've been looking for, right? We've been teased a couple of times, but this is the one. This is where if you are an angler and you want to do winter steelheading, this is your probably 2 weeks of the best fishing of the season. That fresh water's got to push. The fish are going to be moving. And I think there should be opportunities at essentially every river should be good fishing. And what I'd like you to talk about now is how to fish. Obviously, we're going to have a bump in the river level. And then on that plateau on the way down is where you're going to see your best water. If you were out there chasing steelhead, what sort of rigs and setups would you be looking at to have the most success?
Well, first, what I think is going to be great about this weather pattern coming in is there's not a blowout. It's just going to be about a foot rise in the river levels. We're not going to get super off-colored, blown out. So really any of your standard steelheading techniques will probably work. Those fish are going to be antsy to get up into the rivers. They're going to be looking to do their spawning and looking to re-energize. So anything from your beads to your eggs, I think flashy spinners, your pink worms, I think pretty much everything is going to be in play for the next couple weeks, because there's going to be enough fish around that I think you're going to find a willing biter of whatever you want to offer.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about it like that, isn't it? Not often do we get to say, just throw something in there and they should jump on it. But maybe talk to our listeners about when the water is high to start with and moving a little faster. Would you use, bigger, more shiny tackle? And as the water starts to dissipate, getting more, smaller beads, different color setups. Talk to our listeners about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is kind of where you're fishing and what type of water you're fishing. So if you're fishing in the faster moving water, you're probably going to want to be fishing at when the river's at its highest 3-4 feet off the bank. Honestly, those fish are going to try to find that softer, slower water where they don't have to work as much. And they'll just kind of be sitting in there. So usually on the higher waters, I'm trying to use some bigger size beads, some bigger presentations, some heavier presentations to get it down into the fishing call them a little bit earlier, but yeah, usually kind of that closer to the bank, the softer water. And then if you can find some deeper pools, that's where you can really throw some weight on there and try to get it down into the strike zone.
In closing, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up today?
Nope. Let's just enjoy this time of college baseball getting started. The MLB spring training is in full gears with pretty much all pitchers and catchers reported, and we're finally getting some water, so it's time to go out and steelhead fish. It's a great time of year.
Absolutely. Thanks for checking in today, guys, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Enjoyed Lineups and Lures? Like, share, and rate the show to help us grow. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Lineups and Lures.